Hi, MC Thomas here to talk about the live-action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender that can now be seen on Netflix. With the success of One Piece's live-action adaptation, there was some cautious optimism surrounding this show. My take is that Netflix's Avatar did show love and respect for the original series, but it just didn't measure up. But I don't think this comes as a surprise to anyone, as the original series is a beloved masterpiece. While the showrunners of the Netflix series pitched a mature and darker version of the story, something like Game of Thrones, I'd argue that the original series was actually much smarter and more mature, despite being an animated kids show on Nickelodeon. The original series had a brilliant story with unparalleled characters, themes, and world building. Calling it one of the greatest animated series of all time still undersells it in my opinion. It's one of the greatest shows of all time, period. I don't think anyone expected the Netflix series to be better, and I do applaud it for its solid casting, costumes, and settings, as well as some of the fight scenes. I also appreciate that they took some liberties and didn't just do a shot-for-shot remake, but still stood true to the fundamental aspects of the story. There was clearly a love for the original source material. That being said, it did have its share of problems. I didn't make this video to dunk on the Netflix show, but more to highlight just how perfect the original series was, and that trying to remake it was a giant uphill battle from the start. In this video, I want to give my 3 main reasons why the original series worked so well, and why the Netflix series fell short. This is going to be a spoiler-filled video, so if you haven't watched either of the series yet, this will be your spoiler warning. The first point I'm going to make concerns the camaraderie between the main cast. This is an important one because the relationship between our 3 main characters plays such a crucial role in the original series. Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Luke, Leia, and Han, Aang, Sokka, and Katara. And yes, the group does add Toph later on, but that original trio is iconic, and they play off of each other beautifully in the original series. Aang is the spunky leader, Sokka is the strategist who makes everyone laugh, and Katara is the maternal heart of the group. That dynamic isn't quite as prevalent in the Netflix series. I think the actors do fine with what they're given, but that close bond between them just isn't there. Sure, we're told by the show that these 3 have become like family. The characters say it several times, but we're never shown this. The 3 of them spend too much time apart, mainly in Omashu. Omashu is where the Netflix show creators decided to merge the Mechanist, Jet, and Bumi storylines all into one. The problem is that our 3 leads are all separated, with Sokka spending time with the Mechanist, Katara with Jet, and Aang with Bumi. The original series had our main trio together for all of these storylines. It had so many different dynamics like Sokka not trusting Jet, or Aang being upset at the Mechanist for being in a sacred air temple. This is all lost in the new series. The 3 also spend an extended time apart when Aang has to save Katara and Sokka from the spirit world. It doesn't matter to me how many times the characters say they're close friends. I won't believe it unless I'm actually shown, and the Netflix series didn't show me enough of this. I was most disappointed in the lack of a real bond between Aang and Katara. In the original show, they quickly became close friends when Aang teaches her to penguin sled, and she starts to teach him how to waterbend. The first season also had showed us that Aang had a crush on Katara, which set up a nice romantic arc for them throughout the series. None of this is present in the Netflix series, and Aang and Katara seem more like co-workers than close friends. They don't even get their moment in the secret tunnel. Katara ends up going through it with Sokka instead.
What?
Don't worry, it's nothing like that, but it was disappointing that Aang and Katara never got intimate moments together. One thing the Netflix series did get right was the Iroh and Zuko scenes. Those 2 were the highlight of the show for me, and it perfectly captured their relationship from the original show. When Zuko comforted Iroh after Lu Ten's death, and Leaves from the Vine plays in the background, that got me all kinds of emotional. The second point I want to make concerns the dialogue and exposition. The original series did a brilliant job at getting across information in a way that felt organic and efficient. The Netflix series, well, doesn't. The Netflix series has a bad habit of allowing characters to explain things in detail, whether it be plot points or emotions. For example, when Aang learns that he's the Avatar 100 years ago, he gives a long-winded speech to Appa about how scared and uncertain he is. The original series gets this point across just fine without needing to spell it out for us. Katara's grandmother delivers a monologue that repeats the original show's opening verbatim. No, I'm not kidding. and then proceeds to tell Aang that all the airbenders have been killed. This ruins the whole revelation that Aang was supposed to figure out for himself. In the original series, it's heartbreaking to watch his optimism fade into denial, and then eventually grief and anger. This powerful emotional scene gets butchered by the Netflix series. Those are just two of many examples where characters give prolonged exposition dumps about things that we should have been shown instead. The last point I'll make deals with the condensed nature of the story and the world. As I mentioned before, the Netflix series takes concepts from several short episodes of the original show and consolidates them into fewer but longer episodes. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, as I understand that the cadence of live action is very different from animation, but there's something lost when such a large chunk of the vibrant world from the original series ends up getting cut out. The world in the Netflix series feels smaller, and the sense of traveling and adventure isn't as prevalent. Omashu, the spirit world, and the North Pole are the main places our characters explore. Live-action One Piece had a good reason for condensing its original story the way it did, because it had to fit over 40 episodes of the anime into one 8-episode season. But for Avatar, the total runtime of the Netflix series is about the same as the total runtime of Book 1 in the original show. The original show was much more efficient with its storytelling, which is why it was able to fit so much more story, settings, and character development in roughly the same amount of time. The Netflix series had many drawn-out dialogue scenes, and one of its major sins is that Aang never once trained in waterbending. That was the main purpose of Book 1 in the original show, and the fact that we don't see him waterbend once is a huge oversight in my opinion. All that being said, I don't want to be too hard on the Netflix series. It wasn't great, but I think its heart was in the right place. An effort was made. And hey, it's 1,000 times better than the Shaymalan movie.
Are you the Avatar, Aang?
Anyway, that's all I've got to say about the new Avatar series. Let me know your thoughts. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I hope y'all have a good one.